We are here to speak about the topic extrusion. So, extrusion is a metal forming process, and the main aim is to reduce the cross sectional area or to convert it to a desired shape. So, mainly what we do is in extrusion process, a material that is mainly called as a billet or an ingot will undergo a plastic deformation by application of a force that is mainly a compressive force, and it will cause the material to pass through the orifice or die. So in this picture we can see that a compressive force will be applied by the ram, and then the metal or the ingot gets compressed and it will be passed through the orifice or die, and we can see that extruded product will be obtained. So the die that we are using here, its geometry will remain the same, and the extended product will also have a constant section. So the dies are mainly made of high alloy tool steels, ceramics or zirconia, and the extruded materials will include metals, polymers, ceramics, concrete, clay, foodstuff, etc. And the applications include railings for sliding doors, tubes of various structures, architectural shapes, window frames, production of hollow pipes, and it is also used to produce plastic objects and toothpaste tubes. And there are many other applications also used for this process. And in the extrusion process, there are three zones, mainly feed zone, melting zone, and melting pump zone. So in the feed zone, we can see that it consists of a feed hopper in which the feed along with the additives are added, and then they will be fed into the barrel, which is having a piston or a screw assembly, and it will push it forward or backward based on the extrusion process. And this is mainly driven by a motor with the help of a gear reducer box. And the second zone is the melting zone, where the feed will be passed and it will be heated by an external source, and the temperature should be controlled so as to avoid the unwanted hydrocarbon, and it is also sensed by the thermocouple. And the third zone is the melting pump zone, where we can see that the feed is fed inside a die by an external force, and it is passed through the die opening, and the opening will be selected in a such a way that the metal will be melted quickly with a high accuracy, and also a cutter is also provided so as to cut off the material when it gets filled. So this is the extrusion process. So here we can see that a billet or an ingot of standard size is being produced, and then it will be either heated, that is in hot extrusion, or it remains at a room temperature, that is at the cold extrusion process, and it will be placed in an extrusion press. And then we can see that a compressive force will be applied into that press, which will push the billet or the material that is needed to be extruded towards the die, and it will flow through the opening and it will be converted into a desired shape. And the extruded part, then it will be removed from that press and it will be heat treated for a better mechanical properties. So there are mainly two types of extrusion based on the operating temperature. One is the hot extrusion and the other is the cold extrusion. So in hot extrusion, it is mainly done above a recrystallization temperature, that is above 50 to 60 percentage of melting temperature. And the main advantage of hot extrusion is that it has low force, easy to work, strain hardening free products can be obtained, whereas disadvantages include low surface finish, and it will also increase the die wear, high maintenance. And the types of hot extrusion includes based on the direction of flow of metals, they're classified into direct extrusion and indirect extrusion, and there are extrusion by tubes, and there are different other types of hot extrusions are also present. And the second one is the cold extrusion, and it is based on or it occurs below the crystallization temperature or the room temperature, and the example includes aluminum can, cylinder, collapsible tubes, etc. Its preparation or the products that are obtained by this are some of the examples of cold extrusion. And the advantages include high mechanical properties, high surface finish, and there is no oxidation of metal surface, whereas the disadvantages includes high force, strain hardening of product. And the types of cold extrusion includes impact extrusion, hydrostatic extrusion, etc. So hot extrusion, as in this process, in this picture, we can see uh, one of them is direct extrusion. So based on the flow of direction of the metal and the pressure or force that is being applied, they are classified into direct extrusion and indirect extrusion. So direct extrusion, it is also called as forward extrusion. So in this extrusion process, we can see that the metal that is flowing from the die and the pressure that is being applied, that is the ram's movement, will be in the same direction. So here we can see that in one side of the cylinder, the billet or the material that is needed to be extruded will be present, whereas in the opposite side there will be a die opening. So when a compressive force will be applied to it, we can see that the material will be passing through the die opening and the extruded product will be obtained. So here it mainly requires a high force, because here a higher friction is present between the billet and the container. And the main application of direct extrusion includes manufacturing of circular as well as non-circular bars, angles, etc.
Extrusion by tubes. Type of direct extrusion. Mandrel is used to shape inside of the tube. So after billet is placed inside, die containing mandrel is pushed through the billet, and the ram extrudes the metal through die. From this picture, we can clearly is picture is clearly showing the process of direct extrusion. Next. So second one is indirect extrusion. So indirect extrusion is a metal flow in opposite direction of ram movement. So we are applying a force in the opposite side of the opposite side, and that that wise it the direct extrusion work. So it is more efficient because of friction is less. So the main disadvantage of indirect extrusion is restricted the length of extended components. So called extrusion. So first one is impact extrusion. So impact extrusion carried out at high speed, and blank slug in placed in die, and uh, plunger strikes the blank, during which it gets heated and become plastic and is extruded from space between die and punch. The applications of impact extrusion is toothpaste a tube, radio shields, food container, condenser box, etc. So the second one is hydrostatic extrusion. So hydrostatic extrusion is a bullet is filled with the fluid which applies a pressure on metal. Then there is no contact between cylinder and plunger because of friction is less. Plunger applies a force on fluid which is applied on bullet. So fluid used is vegetable oils here. The main advantage of hydrostatic extrusion is working load is less, defect-free extrusion, better finish and accuracy. And the disadvantage of hydrostatic extrusion is it is very expensive, and the major applications of hydrostatic extrusion is extrusion of nuclear reactor, and full rods and cladding of metals are the main applications of hydrostatic extrusion. So these are the main advantages of extrusion. It is high mechanical property and can handle brittle and ductile materials, and high extrusion ratio. Also high reduction in single pass, easy to work, flexible, and less wastage of material. Also high accuracy and less deformation energy, and the last one is device and large quantities can be produced. Let's talk about the disadvantage of extrusion. The first one is it is high initial cost and which required high compressive force. One type of cross section can be achieved at a time, and also product expansion due to unequal force, and dies wear out rapidly. Also tools are expensive. The conclusion part. So from this we can understand that the extrusion is a metal forming process, and also it undergoes plastic deformation by an application of compressive force to reduce the cross-sectional area or to achieve a desired shape. And also they are classified based on operating temperature, direction of flow, and equipment. The advantage of extrusion includes mainly high mechanical property and can handle brittle and ductile material, etc. I already explained the advantage in the previous slide, and the disadvantage is also I am explained in the previous slide, which includes the extraction of defect, surface cracking, etc. Thank you. So these are the references that we are done. By using the link given below, you guys can observe more about the extrusion process.